Discover 13 incredible forces of nature that will transform your sleep into heartwarming dreams. Emily stood at the edge of her sanity, her heart racing as she juggled another exhaustion-heavy day in Maplewood. If life felt chaotic, it was because her dreams were darkened by the shadows of late-night shifts. She served clinking plates and endless cups of coffee, just scraping by to keep her spirited 7-year-old daughter, Mia, blissfully unaware of their everyday struggles. Each day blurred into the next, all the while the town around her thrived, seemingly perfect in its easy charms. But for Emily, that charm was a mask hiding the relentless fatigue and isolation she felt every Saturday morning, the kitchen filled with the scents of sizzling pancakes and fresh fruit, yet even this cherished ritual felt more like a chore now. As she set the table, she smiled at Mia, hoping to also lighten the weight on her heart. But as they finally sat together, laughter fading into the clinking of forks, she felt the pangs of guilt creeping in, silently criticizing her for being too tired to fully engage. That was when she first heard whispers about the community center's workshop titled 13 Forces of Nature. The advertisements promised everything from brighter dreams to serene slumbers. Skepticism mixed with desperation, pulling at her insides. But what if there was something out there that could help her reclaim moments with Mia? What if she could truly tap into those elusive forces to breathe life back into her weary soul? Finally, she decided to attend. The workshop, bright and welcoming, ignited a spark in her that she hadn't felt in years. Tom, the amusing and warm-hearted facilitator, connected everyone with laughter and shared vulnerability, effortlessly creating a safe space. He encouraged them to look around, explore the grounding energy of trees, and listen to the whispering songs of the ocean. It felt surreal, as if the world was finally giving her a breath of fresh air. Before we continue, Tom's voice chimed, "I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With each technique they practiced, her heart grew lighter. The shared stories of other parents, veterans, and friends erupted like fireworks, igniting pangs of camaraderie. They laughed, cried, and realized they were not alone in their struggles. In that little sanctuary, Emily learned how to lean, how to let others in. But just as the light grew brighter, disaster struck. The town budget cuts threatened the community center, the very place that was knitting together the fragile threads of their lives. The news sickened her. It felt like a selfish storm shattering her newfound hope. With emotions swirling, Emily could almost hear the echoes of her childhood, the sacrifices her family had made intermingling with echoes of her own inner battles. Would she remain trapped in isolation, or could she summon the courage to ask for help? Would she fight not just for herself, but for Mia and all the townsfolk who mattered? As she prepared to rally the community at the town hall meeting, the mere thought sent chills down her spine. Would she find enough strength to save the sanctuary, or would she stay lost in the quiet shadows of Maplewood? The night air wrapped around her like a blanket, filled with anticipation as she stepped into the gathering chaos of voices, each whisper a shared heartbeat of hope and determination. Emily stood at the entrance of the town hall, her fingers gripping the edge of the wooden doorframe. The murmurs of the crowd inside felt like a distant roar, a sea of shared hopes crashing against the shore of her uncertainty. She inhaled deeply, letting the scent of polished wood and the light aroma of coffee drift into her senses. This was a moment that could shape not only her future but also Mia's. As she stepped inside, the tension was palpable. She scanned the crowd. Familiar faces, tired but determined, filled the seats. Neighbors, coworkers, and friends, all affected by the looming budget cuts. Emily's heart raced as she navigated through the sea of bodies, her thoughts swirling like leaves in an autumn breeze. She spotted Tom, standing beside a makeshift podium, his expression a mix of encouragement and concern. "Emily!" he called out, his voice cutting through the noise. As she approached, he greeted her with a warm smile. "Are you ready for this? We'll support you." "Will it be enough?" she whispered. doubt gnawed at her insides. "We're all in this together," he reassured her, his eyes filled with unwavering conviction. "Remember what we learned: the forces of nature are powerful, just like the bonds we share." As the meeting began, the room fell silent. Tom introduced Emily to the crowd, his words wrapping around her like a hug. "This is someone who's ready to fight for our community." She felt the weight of their gaze settle upon her. Taking a deep breath, she stepped up to the podium. "Thank you," she started, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm here to speak about the community center and how much it means to each of us." With each word, she felt her confidence build, a fire igniting within her. She recounted her struggles, the exhaustion, the late-night shifts, and how the center had breathed life back into her. "We need this place. This is our home, our sanctuary." As she spoke, she noticed Mia in the back, her bright eyes wide with admiration, filled with pride. That small moment served as a lifeline, pulling her from the darkness of doubt. She continued passionately, detailing the stories of parents rediscovering joy and children finding a sense of belonging through the center. But just as momentum surged, a voice from the back broke through. "This isn't about feelings. It's about numbers." A man seated near the front folded his arms defiantly. Tap on the microphone, and Emily felt her heart race again. But instead of backing down, she stepped forward. "It's about more than just numbers," she countered, meeting the man's gaze. "It's about our community. The laughter of children, the bonds we share, the support we give each other in tough times." A ripple of murmurs filled the room, some nodding, others skeptical. A knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. Would they see it? Would they understand the intangible worth of what they all stood to lose? Then, as if the universe decided to give her a nudge, an older woman in the front row stood. "I've met so many friends here," she said softly, her hands trembling slightly. "I learned to paint and reconnected with my passion because of this place." Inspired, others began to chime in, sharing heartfelt stories that echoed through the hall one after another. They built a powerful wave of collective realization. Emily's heart soared. She knew, however, that this was just the beginning. They were gaining traction, but a common enemy loomed just beyond the horizon: indifference. As the meeting drew to a close, a sense of unity began to bloom, but doubt still lingered like an uninvited guest. Would it be enough? Could they truly fight for what mattered? Determined to rally support, she stood outside in the cool night air, the soft glow of streetlights illuminating her path. Each breath stung with purpose. She turned to Tom, who had joined her. "What's next? We have to keep this momentum going." He nodded, his eyes shining. "Let us schedule group meetings, start a petition. We'll engage everyone. People need to feel that their voices can lead to change." As the last words hung in the air, Emily felt the weight of possibility settling around her. But even as hope blossomed, a chilling thought seeped in. What if they faced unforeseen challenges ahead? "Can we truly bring this community together?" she whispered, standing before the looming task that awaited. And amidst the uncertainty, Emily realized she had to find out, for Mia and for herself. Would the force of their combined voices be enough to overcome the storm? The question echoed in her mind as she took the next step forward. The following days flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Emily dove headfirst into organizing meetings, her mind racing with ideas and plans. She and Tom put flyers together that advertised the upcoming gatherings, their passion acting as a magnet, pulling in others who felt just as strongly about the community center. Each meeting filled the small town hall, laughter and shared stories warming the space. Every face brought hope, every voice added strength. Emily felt the community coming alive again, each heartbeat echoing a collective resilience. She looked for Mia in the crowd, her daughter's laughter a constant reminder of what they were fighting for. As the weeks passed, they started gathering signatures for the petition. Friends and neighbors flocked to support them, often bringing their own children along to sign, all eager to add their voices to the cause. Emily's heart swelled with pride as she witnessed the bonds deepening, families sharing meals and stories, united by a single purpose. But with increased visibility also came confrontation. Rumors about the budget cuts circulated, and one evening, Emily found herself standing on a street corner, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows as cars whizzed by. She overheard two men discussing the community center. "It's just an unnecessary cost," one grumbled, shaking his head. Emily's heart sank, their dismissive attitude echoing in her mind. By the time the city council meeting rolled around, doubt had crept in. Would they really make a difference? As she and Tom sat in the front row, her stomach twisted in knots. She felt like a tightrope walker, balancing precariously. The council room buzzed with energy as people filled the seats, but her confidence wavered. And then, as the meeting began, a familiar face lit the room. Mrs. Thompson, the older woman who had spoken at their first meeting, stood to share her story again. "This center is my lifeline," she declared, her voice resonating with sincerity. "It's where we gather, where we connect. It's essential to our community's heart." Each testimony that followed only fueled Emily's fire. As stories poured forth, she felt rejuvenated, drawn back into the swirling tide of hope. Voices of parents, youths, and elderly all intertwined, weaving a vibrant tapestry that showcased the center's vital role in their lives. But just as the tide seemed unstoppable, the council chairman raised a hand, silencing the room. "Thank you for sharing," he said, his tone dry. "But we must make choices that serve the greater good. The numbers don't lie." Emily's heart pounded. Her determination faced its first real challenge. This wasn't just about saving the center, it was about changing hearts. She knew she had to fight, to be a voice against the cold, hard statistics. Finally, she summoned her courage, stepping towards the microphone. "It's easy to look at numbers," she began, the audience leaning in with anticipation. "But behind those numbers are the lives we influence, the dreams we nurture. You can't put a price on a child's laughter, or a person finding community where they felt lost." The room erupted into murmurs, expressions shifting. Could she really sway them against the tide of indifference? As the evening wore on, the discussions took shape around her words. She could almost feel the shift, a crack in the rigid armor they had worn for so long. But just as hope seemed within reach, an unexpected voice rose from the back. "What if it's too late?" The question hung heavy in the air. Fear gripped Emily again, reminding her that this battle was far from over. "Is it too late?" she echoed softly, the weight of uncertainty pressing down. Would they find a way to bridge the gap, to make their voices resonate louder than ever? And as she stepped back, the question lingered like a haunting echo in her mind. What would they face next? The silence in the room was deafening. Emily's stomach twisted as she surveyed the concerned faces around her. The momentum she had built felt like it was on the brink of collapse. It was all riding on this, on her ability to unify their voices against an indifferent tide. She stole a glance at Tom, who nodded encouragingly, his eyes full of belief in her. A murmur rippled through the crowd as they processed the unsettling question. "What if it's too late?" echoed in her mind like a broken record, piercing through her resolve. Were they too late? Had they missed their chance? "Let us not entertain that thought," someone shouted from the crowd, surprising her. It was Mr. Jenkins, a wiry man known for his bluntness. "We've come too far to give in now." The sentiment resonated, stirring energy back into the room. People began to nod, expressions hardening with determination. "Exactly," Emily interjected, her voice steadying once more. "We are here right now. We have each other. We are going to make our voices heard, one way or another." She felt a surge of power that propelled her next words. "This community center is more than just a building. It's our home, our haven. If we don't fight for it, who will? This is our moment." The crowd erupted, applause and cheers igniting passion in the air. It felt electric, a wildfire of collective strength igniting within each of them. No doubt remained, she could see it in their eyes. They believed, and she had them firmly in her grasp. As the applause subsided, the council chairman cautiously broke in. "I understand your feelings, truly," he said, though his tone remained reserved. "However, We still have to evaluate costs across the entire town. We need to prioritize. Emily's heart sank again, the ticking clock causing a panic to swell inside her. Time was running out. Then let us show you our worth, she exclaimed. Let us prove just how invaluable this center is to our community. We'll gather more signatures, tell more stories, and unveil our plans for future programs. The energy in the room shifted from doubt to action. Tom stood with Emily as she laid out a strategy, calling for volunteers to help gather signatures in force. In the back, Mia waved, her small hands waving wildly. Emily smiled at her daughter, fueled by her bright spirit. This was about more than the center now. It was about giving Mia a future filled with love, laughter, and the very essence of community. Word of their fight spread this time not just through flyers but through individual stories shared and connections rekindled. Emily could see more faces showing up, joining the petition drive. Every day they gained momentum, but whispers circulated about the decision looming ahead. Every signature, every story brought them closer, yet an unsettling sense of urgency gripped her. As the final city council meeting approached, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were climbing a mountain without knowing what lay on the other side. What if their efforts weren't enough? What would happen if they lost? In the torrent of her thoughts, one possibility loomed large: they might have to face an even bigger challenge than they had imagined. Would they be prepared for the pushback from those who still didn't see the value? As she prepared for that fateful night, her heart raced at the thought of what would come next. She knew they had to be ready to fight and ready to stand together, but will that unity hold strong against the unknown forces that threaten to tear them apart? The day of the city council meeting arrived, heavy with a sense of anticipation and dread. Emily paced anxiously behind the makeshift podium they had set up in the community center. The walls seemed to echo the anxious whispers of her fears, casting shadows on the glowing embers of hope they had ignited together. Around her, the community gathered, faces a mixture of determination and uncertainty. She could see Tom conferring with Mia, who had turned the nervous energy into playful giggles, as if to remind them all of the joy they were fighting for. The scene filled her with warmth, but anxiety quickly began to crush that warmth like a weight. Her heart raced, the steady drum of fear overshadowing every hopeful thought. Emily took a deep breath, clutching her notes as if they were a lifeline. Today, she began, her voice wavering but carrying the weight of passion, we are not just speaking for ourselves. We are speaking for every child who has grown up here, every person who found solace in these walls. This isn't just about a building, it's about our lives, our stories. As she spoke, she caught glimpses of familiar faces: Rita, who had found a friend during the crafting workshops, Jessie, who attended every fitness class, breaking through his shell of loneliness, Mrs. Thompson, whose laughter echoed in the hall during her yoga sessions. The thought of losing a space that brought them all together stoked the flames in her heart. The tension in the room sharpened when the council members filed in. They were expressions of authority, adorned in suits that seemed to emphasize the distance between them and the community. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine upon seeing the chairman's calculating look. This wasn't just a meeting, it was their moment of truth. As the chairman called the meeting to order, a hush fell over the crowd. They were filled with a mix of hope and fear, each member bracing for what was to come. Emily's hands trembled as she felt the overwhelming weight of responsibility. We're not just fighting for a building, she thought. We're fighting to be seen, to be valued. One by one, community members stepped forward, sharing their personal stories. Each voice resonated with emotions, the raw honesty melting past barriers. A mother spoke of her child finding a safe space to learn. A retired veteran described the camaraderie he found in a quiet corner of the center during art classes. They wove a tapestry of lives intertwined, each thread more colorful than the last. Yet, as stories poured forth like an unstoppable river, Emily couldn't shake the feeling of looming doubt. Visions of council reports and spreadsheets formed in her mind, drowning out the lighter moments shared. She felt the walls of hope trembling, threatened by the tide of practicality and bureaucracy. Then, the moment came. The chairman cleared his throat, steeled himself, and began reciting statistics. Emily's heart sank. It was a melody of numbers, weighed down with implications. If we were to allocate funds, he trailed off, glancing at his fellow council members. Their expressions were unreadable, a tapestry of indifference. Please. Emily dared to raise her voice, shaking off the paralysis that gripped her. We're more than just numbers on a budget. Can't you see what this means to us? What this means to all of us? And just as the murmur of uncertainty began to creep back in, a fierce voice cried out from the crowd. It was Mia, standing on her tiptoes, her tiny hands clenching the air. Mom. I love the center. We can't lose it. Her unfiltered power cut through all the adult concerns, echoing the very heart of their fight. Emily's heart soared. This was the core of their mission laid bare, not in numbers but in the truth of human connection. As she looked at the council, she knew they were now at a crossroads. The decision before them was not just about funding, it was about community. Would their voices hold strong against the tide of indifference? Would this be the moment where hearts could overcome walls? Emily's heart raced, knowing they were on the edge of something monumental. The room held its breath, all eyes on the council. What decision would they make? The council members exchanged hushed whispers, their eyes darting from one community member to another, as if weighing the gravity of Mia's declaration. A shift in the air sparked renewed hope. Emily's heart thrummed, every beat urging the room to stay connected. Thank you, Mia, the chairman said, his voice steadier now. But let us stick to the facts. He gestured to the data projected on the screen behind him. We're facing budget cuts and need to prioritize our resources. Emily felt a cold chill wrap around her. Facts? She whispered to herself. They're not facts, they're barriers. But she couldn't let those barriers win. She straightened her back, emboldened by the innocence of her daughter's plea. Excuse me, Emily interjected, urgency buzzing in her voice. What Mia just showed was the heart of our community. It's not just about numbers or cuts, it's about what we're losing. It's about connection, support, love. Around her, nods of agreement erupted. A ripple of murmur spread across the crowd. Emily looked out at the faces of people she had come to depend on, each one reflecting the same fierce determination. They wanted to be heard. They needed to be heard. Maybe, a voice chimed from the back, we should ask them what our community center means to them. It was Jesse, his voice rising with newfound confidence. The crowd buzzed with excitement, voices igniting into a chorus of support. Yes. Someone shouted. Let us share our stories. Encouraged, Emily turned back to the council. You heard that. Let us show you what this center means. Let us express the heartbeat of Riverton. Let us highlight our experiences. The chairman looked taken aback, but he raised a hand, attempting to restore order. I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm, he said, but we need to maintain decorum. If you wish to share your stories, it should be organized. Without hesitation, Tom stood, a fiery spark in his eyes. Let everyone speak. Give us the microphone. We have a narrative worth sharing. Cheers erupted, a wave of approval sweeping through the room. All right. Emily called, sensing the momentum surge like an unstoppable force. Let us do this. Let us take turns. Each of our stories adds weight to our plea. We can move mountains with our voices. She looked at Mia, who grinned wider than ever, her bright eyes shimmering with pride. One by one, community members stood up. Rita spoke first, sharing how crafting saved her after losing her partner. Jesse followed, recounting how the fitness classes helped him find himself after years of feeling invisible. With each heartfelt tale, the room felt lighter, yet heavier with emotion, each story illuminating the power of their connection. Emily's heart pounded as she realized they were building something far beyond just a defense for their center. They were constructing a manifesto of their community. Each person spoke with raw sincerity, weaving a tapestry of resilience and love that captivated everyone, even some of the council members. But just as hope surged through Emily's veins, the chairman stood again, his expression hardening. You've shared moving stories, he said, but we still have to consider the facts. His cool tone sent a shiver through the room, and silence fell like a heavy cloud. Everyone's effort is admirable, but will it be enough? The doubt hung thick in the air, and Emily could see it draining the warmth from the crowd. In that moment, she realized that they weren't merely fighting for their community center, they were fighting for a sense of belonging that ran deeper than bricks and mortar. Wait. She thought, the solution sparking in her mind. What if we create a unified event? Something big that invites everyone? A festival? As the idea took root, Emily felt a surge of excitement, coupled with dread. Could this be the answer? Could they turn their stories into a celebration of community? The council members were watching, most were unmoved, but she noticed a flicker of curiosity in the chairman's eyes. It was enough to spark her resolve. Let us not just ask them to listen, let us show them who we are. With renewed energy, she turned back to the crowd. What if we host Riverton's Heartbeat Day? A celebration, a way to shine a light on our community's spirit. Everyone can contribute, share joy, and express what this center means to them. The people in the room began to murmur, the rhythm of hope swelling. Could this be the moment that changed everything? But just as the crowd buzzed with excitement, Emily caught the chairman's gaze, and a familiar flicker of doubt returned. Would they back a festival, or dismiss it as just another event? What will the council decide? Will they stifle this spark, or could this moment lead them toward a brighter community? Emily's heart raced as the murmurs of excitement filled the air, each pulse echoing her own rising hope. The idea of Riverton's Heartbeat Day wasn't just a plan, it was a rallying call wrapped in a dream, one that could breathe life back into the very fabric of their community. But doubt still crept into her mind like a shadow, threading its way through her optimism. Can we really pull this off? She wondered, glancing at the faces around her. Yet with every gaze she met, the flickers of determination ignited something inside her. She could see Rita's eyes glistening with anticipation, Jessie whispering excitedly to a friend, Mia pulling on the hem of her mother's shirt, full of gleeful energy. The chairman cleared his throat, a small frown etched on his face. While the idea is enthusiastic, I remind you this council has to evaluate feasibility. We have to think of the budget, resources, and commitment from the community. Rita shot a glare at the chairman, the aching tension in her shoulders suggesting she was ready to fight for every passionate petal of Emily's blossoming idea. Nothing great happens without some risk. She exclaimed, her voice breaking through the wall of skepticism. This center has always been our heartbeat, and we know it. Tom stood boldly beside her, fists clenched. Exactly. We'll bring food stands, musicians, activities for kids, everyone will want to be a part of it. We'll show you we can create something unforgettable. The air hummed with energy as others echoed his sentiments, everyone adding their voices to the growing chorus. Emily felt the sparks igniting more fiercely now, creating a brilliant flame of conviction that illuminated the dim corners of reservation. As the chatter surged, the chairman raised a hand again, but this time his expression was softer. She could see hesitation mingling with curiosity. And how do you plan to fund this? Through donations, Emily interjected with newfound confidence. We can start a crowdfunding campaign. The love for this place is deep, the community will respond. We can knock on doors, reach out through social media, organize local fundraisers. We've got this. A ripple of excitement coursed through the crowd. People began brainstorming ideas, shouting out one after another, bake sales, car washes, local businesses sponsoring booths. The room crackled with potential. Just as the energy peaked, a new voice, younger and filled with fire, spoke up from the back. It was Mia. Can we have games too? And a talent show? I want to sing. Her innocent enthusiasm draped a warm blanket over the room, cutting through any remaining tension. Everyone chuckled, nodding at her suggestion, and laughter scattered like confetti. How could they say no to the joy radiating from that beaming little face? As the meeting continued, Emily took a step back, overwhelmed but embracing the chaotic interweaving of voices. Each person was echoing the essence of what the Riverton Community Center stood for. It was more than just a building, it represented love, growth, and connection. Yet beneath the exhilaration, she felt a weight, a whisper reminding her that challenges awaited them. They had captured the enthusiasm of the room, but now they needed to put it into action. Planning, securing funding, gathering volunteers, all these steps felt monumental. Would they even have enough time to prepare for a full-fledged celebration? As she looked toward the council, still holding seats of authority, a knot twisted in her stomach. They were watching, weighing risks against the vibrant energy the room had created. Will they be swayed? She pondered, heart racing as the crowd cheered after another proposal slipped into the air. Or will this idea be dismissed when it matters most? Together, the community pushed forward, but with every idea that sparked, the looming decision formed a heavy burden of uncertainty. For Emily, the fight was just beginning, and she wondered if their efforts would be enough. What awaited them around the corner could change everything, and as she caught the chairman's still contemplation, she couldn't shake the feeling that their real challenge was only just beginning. The meeting buzzed with renewed energy, each person rallying, sharing their ideas. The excitement wrapped around Emily like an embrace, but the weight of her thoughts lingered. She felt a responsibility that pressed down on her shoulders. This was bigger than just a festival, it was about rekindling the spirit of their community. "Let us get organized," Tom suggested, bringing everyone back into focus. "We need a plan, roles, and a timeline." Emily nodded vigorously, her heart buzzing at the thought. "Yes. If we break it down into steps, we can tackle each part together. That's how we'll make Heartbeat Day a reality." Rita piped up. "I'll gather a team for fundraising. We can set the crowdfunding page to go live by next week. Who wants to join me?" Hands shot up throughout the room. Emily felt her heartbeat align with the harmony of voices voting in favor of passion. Ideas started flowing like a river. From organizing local businesses to sponsor booths, to starting a social media campaign that would spread excitement wider than they imagined, Emily felt a roadmap taking shape. Yet a flicker of doubt crept in again. What if the funds didn't come through? What can I do to help? Mia's bright face peered up from the floor, her innocence bringing immediate smiles. "You can be our official cheerleader," Jessie declared, grinning. "And we need you for the talent show, of course. The crowd will love your singing." "I will." She giggled, her excitement contagious. As they spelled out tasks, dividing roles like a well-oiled machine, Emily pulled aside Jessie. "Can we really do it? I mean, what if it's too much?" He looked at her, uncertainty flashing in his eyes for a moment before he shook it off. "We won't know if we don't try. Nerves mean you care, Em. Look at all of us. This is our chance to show that Riverton matters." The fire in Emily's heart reignited. They immersed themselves in discussions, fueling the air with laughter and plans. Hours whizzed by, each idea poured into a list as the committee took shape. Volunteers popped up like spring flowers, eager to be part of the meaningful transformation. As daylight dimmed and the room started to empty, a lingering sense of unity replaced Emily's earlier doubt. They hadn't just mobilized, they had woven together a tapestry of hope, illustrating what Riverton could be. But an ominous flicker of worry interrupted her bubbling excitement. She remembered the chairman's skeptical gaze and the reality of acquiring adequate funds to execute their dreams. How would they ensure consistent engagement from their community throughout the process? As she glanced around, her heart sank a bit. Would they handle obstacles thrown in their way? They were all in it together, but could that commitment withstand the pressures of day-to-day life? Just as the last few people trickled out, Emily noticed the chairman still seated, deep in thought. "What are you thinking?" she asked, hesitantly. He looked up, his brow furrowed but curiosity sparking in his eyes. "I was wondering if you'd like to take a moment to discuss your vision more deeply, or do you feel confident moving forward as you are?" Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. This was the moment of truth, the chance for the idea to either soar or flounder. "I'd love to," she replied, optimism battling nervousness, and in that instant, she realized that all their dreams depended not just on a celebration but on the courage to confront fears head-on. Would this meeting be the catalyst they needed, or would it leave her questioning once more? The stakes had risen, and Emily braced herself for what the next steps could reveal about their shared future. What truth lay hidden in the conversation that awaited her? Emily settled into the chair opposite the chairman, her heart racing. It felt like being on a roller coaster, all twists and turns, emotions rising and plummeting with every breath. The room felt quieter now, as if the walls were leaning in to listen closer. "Thank you for offering to talk," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Of course. Your enthusiasm is infectious, but it's crucial we frame this right. Community events thrive on clarity and purpose," he replied, his tone both gentle and assertive. Emily nodded, her mind racing with all they had discussed during the meeting. "I believe this festival can unite us in ways we've lost touch with. It isn't just about entertainment, it's about celebrating who we are together, our local artists, our small businesses, and most importantly, our people." He studied her, and she felt a swell of hope. Maybe he understood. But what about funding? "A strong initiative is often built on financial ground," he asked, his voice still measured. "That's where community comes in," Emily rushed to explain. "Riverton is full of passionate people. We can leverage crowdfunding and local sponsorships. If we show them that this festival will uplift our town, they'll support us. We need to cast a vision that resonates." He leaned back, fingers steepled, and nodded slowly. "What if there's resistance? Not everyone will be on board, especially if the funding is thin." Her gut tightened. She had thought about this, and it scared her. "I know," she admitted. "But I believe in this community. If we reach out, share our stories, and invite people to be a part of it, I'm convinced they'll come around. What if we held a smaller gathering first, an event to bump up interest and engagement?" His eyes flickered with interest, the thoughtful tension relaxing a bit. "Building momentum before the big day is wise. If you believe that can spark excitement, then it could work." "Yes." She hadn't realized how much she needed his approval until relief washed over her at his words. "With just one win, we'd all rally. It could ignite a fire." "Okay," he said, finally smiling. "I'm intrigued. Let's put a plan on paper, starting with how many volunteers you'll need for the initial gathering." Grinning widely, she explained. Forgetting her earlier doubts, her excitement poured out like a rockslide, filled with ideas for themes, activities, and potential partners. The next 15 minutes flew by, a whirlwind of concept after concept shared between them. Emily felt like a spark catching flame, the chairman nodding along, their shared visions intertwining. It felt magical, but as they wrapped up, a sobering thought cast a shadow over her enthusiasm. "What if I can't deliver?" she whispered suddenly, vulnerability coating her words. "What if my passion isn't enough?" The chairman fixed her with a sincere look. "Every strong leader finds doubts along the way, Emily. But don't forget the energy you inspired within that room today. You need to trust yourself, and believe in the community that stands behind you." He stood, the meeting coming to an end, but Emily's heart raced with more than excitement now. His last words echoed in her mind, cementing a certainty she hadn't fully grasped until now. "Thank you," she whispered. "Let's make this happen," he replied. As she stepped back into the bustling corridor, Emily felt a surge of determination. It was more than just her dream now, it was a beacon for Riverton's future, a symbol of unity. But when she got home, a letter awaited her on the kitchen counter. The return address was from her old employer, a company she had left behind. Nervously, she tore it open. What was this about? With a sinking heart, she read the words that would turn her plans upside down. Would she choose the path she once walked, or fully embrace the risk of reaching for something that felt more like home? Questions sparked in her mind, demanding answers. The stakes were higher than she had imagined. Would she choose her community or revert to the familiar? Each choice carried a weight of consequences that compelled her to pause. Emily sat at the kitchen table, the letter crumpled in her shaky hands. Old memories flooded her mind like a rushing river, pulling at her heartstrings. The desire for stability clashed with the vibrant dream she had reignited within herself and her community. Would going back be giving up? Anyway, would they even want me? Each question hung heavy in the air, demanding answers. Mia's laughter echoed from the living room, a gentle reminder of the life she wanted to shape, the home she longed to create. The idea of choosing an old path seemed like choosing a life on autopilot, stable but void of pulse and joy. The community center was where she had found herself again, it was where new dreams had blossomed. She felt a sudden warmth, remembering the echoes of voices at the recent meeting. They were not just distant memories, they were a part of her now. Each story shared, each moment of connection illuminated the path forward. A warmth spread through her heart as she realized the truth, she was meant to be here, fighting for Riverton's heartbeat. Deciding wasn't easy, but her choice began crystallizing. She wanted to create a future that sparkled with laughter and joy, to fill her daughter's world with the color of community love. Emily crumpled the letter and tossed it into the trash, sealing her resolve. The exhilarating thrill of the challenge ahead ignited a fire within her. Days turned into weeks as the planning for Riverton's Heartbeat Day bubbled with energy. Emily and her friends worked tirelessly, pouring their hearts into the event. Every flyer they distributed, every meeting they held, fueled the community's anticipation. Little by little, the festival started to take shape. Bands were booked, food stands organized, and children's activities planned to ensure laughter rang out from every corner. The day finally arrived, and Emily stood in the center of the transformed park. Colorful banners fluttered in the breeze, laughter and chatter filled the air, and the sweet aroma of popcorn mixed with the scent of fresh-cut grass. There was a tangible electricity, a spark igniting every heart present. As she scanned the crowd, she spotted familiar faces, Rita chatting with new friends by the craft booth, Jessie helping set up the stage, and Mia running through the crowd with pure delight. Emily's heart swelled, bursting with pride. This was the moment they had all worked for, an event that resonated with the heartbeat of Riverton. And then came the speeches. When Emily stepped onto the stage, the world fell silent. The only thing she could hear was the throbbing of her own heart, pulsing stronger with clarity. She looked out at the sea of smiling faces, friends, neighbors, support. She took a deep breath, feeling every bit of that collective strength. "Thank you for being here today," she began, her voice stronger than she ever expected. "This day is a celebration of who we are together. It's a reminder of how powerful our stories can be when we share them." The applause surged like a wave, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. As she continued, she recounted their journey, the fears, doubts, and ultimately the courage they had found in each other. Tears glistened in her eyes, but this time, they were tears of joy. "We realized that this community center isn't just a building. It's a sanctuary where our lives intertwine and thrive." Cheers erupted, and a rush of love filled the air. With every story, every shared moment, the festival became an embodiment of unity, a joyous explosion of connection that no amount of budget cuts could shatter. Emily felt her heart soar. She realized she wasn't just fighting for the center, she was fighting for every heartbeat represented in that park. She was fighting for them. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a gentle light over the festival, the council members slowly joined the crowd, curiosity written on their faces. Little by little, they saw the truth Emily had poured her heart into. They witnessed the power of community, the laughter of children, and the spirit of togetherness that vibrated through the air. Finally, resting her eyes on Mia, ready to launch into the talent show, Emily felt a wave of reassurance wash over her. This was her future, defined not by the echoes of her past but by the vibrant laughter of her daughter and her community. With one final glance at the audience, she took a deep breath and smiled, knowing they had made history together. The stories shared that day were not just memories, they were pieces of the new fabric they were weaving. Those threads would bind them together, transforming Riverton into a tapestry of hope for generations to come. And standing in the glow of everyone's love, Emily knew she had made the right choice. Life would never again feel chaotic or isolating. They were a community, strong and unified. And this was just the beginning. Now is the time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these powerful messages. Comment below your feelings about this incredible transformation. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming journey. True fans understand the importance of supporting this amazing community, and every action counts.